Good morning, brothers and sisters. It's 1/4/2020, and I wanted to come on here and report a story that I just saw a little while ago that kind of ties into the other story that I did on the earlier video about Iran and what happened over there with the general. It's titled "The Shot That Rocked the World," and it's an article by Gerald Celente, which is he's a futurist economist, and he does a lot of articles on the economy, and he's involved with investments and things like that. He's been around for a long time, and he's had things to say in the last year or two about our economy and what's going to be taking place in the future. But this situation here with the Iranian general being taken out, it says Gerald Celente just issued this dire warning after U.S. takes out Iran's top commander. I saw this coming, and I have been writing about this for years, he says. This is a very, very sad day in my life. As a trend forecaster, I look into the future, and the future I see is that this is the first shot of World War III. The first shot of World War III has been fired. This is a very serious time. Warfare will be the kind of warfare that he predicts will be going and taking place here very shortly. Will be cyber attacks, hypersonic weapons, drones by the tens of thousands dropping bombs, and dropping chemical, biological warfare from drones. And remember, we just, in the last video, I just did the video about the mysterious drones out in Colorado and Nebraska. And he says, I said a war with Iran will shake the markets and gold will spike. And the gold prices yesterday, the first day after that happened, had already gone up $27. And he said it is now over that important $1,550 mark. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I'm sure that, some people might know. And also the oil prices spiked up 3%. And if oil goes, he said, if oil goes to over $100 a barrel, economies are going to crash. And this story was posted on King World News. And I just wanted to make a comment, too, that any time that I post I talk about anything on here, of anything out of the news, it's always from a news source. And most of the time, it's not from mainstream media. But in the case of the thing with the drones, the New York Times were, mentioned as a source for on the website that I was on. And so, but usually, like I say, every single time, there's a source for the story. So in case anybody wants to know. So I don't make up anything and, just create something and imagine some story and post it. It does have a source, most of the time not mainstream media, because I don't really think at this point that they can really be trusted. But if I ever post a story about anything and anybody's curious about what the source is that I got the story from, all you need to do is post a comment in the comment box and I can let you know if you're interested. But just to let everybody know, none of these stories that I do on my videos are made up. I have coming up here a prophetic message in the next few days that I received from the Lord, but it's something that I want to pray about. I think it could be related to what happened over in Iraq at the, airport, but I want to pray about it before I put that out. And I also wanted to mention the 12.6 million acres of burned in the fire over in Australia, which is larger than the amount of acres that were destroyed in the California fires, the Amazon fires, or the Siberian fires in Russia. And one fire right now that's burning is larger than the size of Manhattan. So I asked if everybody would please pray for Australia and our brothers and sisters that are over there. I have a subscriber that is from Australia that posted a comment on a video or two back about an updated comment about what was going on over there. And it's not getting better, everyone. It's getting worse. And finally, I had the personal dream to share that I mentioned about a couple of weeks ago, and I got delayed on it thanks to the spiritual warfare that's going on. And I believe that's due to, the fact that it's time for this personal dream to be shared, like the Lord said a couple weeks back. And just shortly after, he had told me that and told me to speak out on it, that was when, the latest time I've really had a lot of trouble. And I think it's because of the dream, because it's a personal dream to me that was given a couple years back, but it is prophetic for 2020. And it was a short dream, it was a very vivid dream. And when I finished the dream, I immediately woke up, and I immediately knew that the dream was from the Lord. And he was just telling me about the future of my ministry and my calling. And I came on a couple years ago, Christmas of 2017, when I started this channel. So I've been, on this channel for a couple years, but 2020 is really like what I've gotten from the Lord, that is really the time for my calling to officially begin. And that's why that it's time for me to release the dream. So in the dream, it was a short dream, as I said. I found myself in a department store that was like a Sears store, and I was standing in a line, and there were 3 or 4 people ahead of me, and there was a lady up at the counter that was, the clerk that was waiting on people. So I'm standing in the line, and a person comes to me on my right side and introduces herself as the store manager, and they hand me a checkbook, and it was a blank checkbook, and I opened it up, and the borders of the checks and stuff looked like our currency denomination borders of our currency. So it looked like money on the borders of the checks. And the person told me, like I said, introduced themselves as the store manager, and they said, that lady that's up there, she pointed to the lady that was at the counter waiting on the people, asked me to give you this. And she said, she told me to tell you that you have an unlimited amount of resources available to you that have been deposited for you. And so you can write checks as you need them for your ministry, write checks as you need them, but understand that every time you write a check, each check you write is going to be considered income, and so you got to keep in mind that you're going to have to pay taxes on anything that you deposit into your account. Now, the description of this person was, at the time that I had the dream, the person was a lady, and she was in age, anywhere from age, I'm going to say 55 to 70 years old at the time that I had the dream. And I believe that dream is prophetic for now, for 2020. That person is out here somewhere on YouTube. They watch YouTube videos. They might have a ministry themselves. They might be in ministry. They have a channel. They might do videos and produce videos. But that was the gist of the dream. And I've been asked to release it. I would appreciate comments and remarks and stuff about this dream from my viewers, anything that they might have to add and offer about the stream. But the point was, when I woke up from the dream at that time and then analyzed it, prayed about it, and all that stuff, the person that's out there that was in this dream, which the whole point of it is to simply make it possible for me to do full-time ministry rather than part-time. That's what it's all about. Right now I have a full-time job, and I do this whenever in my spare time as I can. And I can't do full-time ministry and do a full-time job both. So it's either or, and the Lord wants me in ministry full-time because we're running out of time, and He's got a lot of things for me to do. Thanks to each and every one of you for subscribing. Thanks for listening today. Please, I really would like to hear from comments and remarks about the dream.